Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. I have this beautiful yellow staple gun here, and I'm going to take it all apart because I don't like it. Specifically, I don't like that when I put staples in here, okay, and I put a battery in it, I cannot staple without having something depressing this little switch here. Don't like that. And I've taken it apart before and quickly tried to bypass it, and you can't because, well, okay, I shouldn't say you can't. I couldn't at the time with the tools I had because every time the trigger is pulled, it wants to sense that this resets. It wants to sense this go down. You put the staple in and then it go back up, and I don't like that. So what my plan is to take it apart and take that, the switch is up here for that. There's a rod that comes through here, goes up here, it hits a limit switch, and that completes a circuit. And when that circuit is completed, it says, okay, you can shoot the trigger. And then after the trigger's been shot, it has to sense that get unpressed and then pressed again, and then it can shoot. So I'm gonna take that and hopefully attach it to the trigger so that when the trigger is pulled, it thinks that this is getting pulled. Because what I do is, for the wire I run, I don't actually have to staple over the wire. I just have to go and put a whole bunch of staples in, and then I zip tie to the staple. So I realized that by disabling this, it can shoot anytime without being depressed. And I do realize that I could potentially shoot into a wire, but I don't use this staple gun for that. So it's okay with me. Also ignore the big hole here because I've had it apart before and I couldn't figure out how to get it back together. So I drilled that hole thinking that that would help me pry a thing into place, and that's not true. So let's begin. So this is what it looks like once you have it apart. You can see these holes here don't line up anymore. And also keep an eye on this spring right here and this spring right here. This one is for your trigger. Make sure trigger return to place. This spring right here is what controls, or what returns. Yeah, see, just like that. That'll spring out of there. That controls this rod, and this up here is the limit switch I was referring to. That spring. Oh. Okay, we're just gonna pull this out of there as well for now. Okay, so the reason I have this hole drilled in the case was because this right here slides in this groove right here. And now that I've taken this apart, this is cockeyed because this is like a stack of like 3 springs or something like that, like a lot of springs. And it's under an enormous amount of tension, and it's tweaking this. So there's a couple of ways to disengage that so that it's not under spring tension. There's also a gap here now. I don't know if you guys can see it on the camera, but there's a gap here. And that's because it's all tweaked. Also, you can just pull this guy out too. And this spring is not supposed to be mangled like that. That was also from when I had it apart last time. So I'm gonna disengage the pressure on the spring by prying this guy away a little bit and then rotating this guy backwards. That might not be the right way to do it, and it is gonna shoot essentially the staple gun when I do that. So do that at your own risk. It might behoove you to like lay a board down on top of it when you do it. I'm probably not gonna do that. I'm just gonna kind of go for it. So what I do, again, this is not like the super safest. Probably don't do it towards yourself. Do it kind of over this way. Okay, you heard it pop. And there we go. And now it is under much less spring tension. Yeah, so pretty neat, huh? I think it's actually, it didn't disengage all the way. It did not. There we go. Now it disengaged all the way. And it's probably really not great for it to pry on that stuff, but that's how I do it. I'm gonna make sure you push this guy back into its home. This guy's gonna go back in here just like so. And there you go. All right, so now that we have that done like that, this gear right here can rotate backwards, but not forwards. It ratchets. The inner workings of this is basically you got a motor here, you got planetaries, it spins this guy, and it reels this spring back up and then releases it and it shoots, and then it does that over and over and over again. So that's kind of how it works. Don't try and rotate this forward, you can rotate it backwards. So we want to somehow take this sensor here and move it over here. As you can see, there's really not a whole lot of space. So I'm going to take this bracket here off and see where that goes. Okay, now that that is exposed, so on this connector, I have lots of black and white wires. Let's see here. See one white in the bottom and 3 blacks on the top. So what are we gonna do? I know. Let's get the multimeter out and we'll test the prongs on here, and when we push that, we want continuity. Okay, let's try this one and this one first. Look at that. I am a great guesser. Perfect. So it's this guy and this guy right here. So the black right over the white. And then while we're at it, let's also figure out which ones these are, which if it's kind of the same pattern, it's probably going to be the 2 on the end here. That is correct. And then just for giggles, let's just see which other ones are where. Oh, that one is reversed. But that one's that right there. And then that means this red and yellow one is this LED, which that's not a limit switch. So, perfect. That is a little bit easier. We're not actually going to relocate this limit switch, I think. I think what we're going to do is just jumper the leads for this limit switch into the trigger switch at this location right here and see if that works. Okay, so I got my jumpers crammed in there, and as you can see now, when I hit the trigger's pulled, and when I hit that, the trigger's pulled, which also means that when I hit the trigger, this is getting completed. Or if I complete both of them, they're both being completed. You see, they're both a trigger, which means that if I have the end of this in here and it pushes this, then it's going to go off. So I'm just not going to put this piece back in for now. When you're putting it back together to test it, don't forget to put this piece back on, because it is a very integral piece, and I almost forgot. Okay, let's put a battery in it. Got all the screws back in it. Let's put couple staples in here, and here's hoping. Nope. Alright, so it's back apart. We're just going to verify that it was actually working the way I had planned on it working. Yep. Looks like it. Okay. So, step 2. What are we going to do? Okay, so here is my elegant solution, and we're going to see if it works, because I think there's a second limit switch in here somewhere that I'm missing that disconnects if this is pushed up too high, if I remember right. But I could be wrong. I don't remember. So I just have to figure out how to get this thing in here with this thing attached to it. I have no idea what I'm doing. Okay, we have it all put back together. Let's see what happens. When I'm pulling the trigger, nothing happens. Oh. Oh, look at that. And that is how you do it. So, bonding those two guys together was the trick. Probably shouldn't put my hands there. But you can't really see it. But there's a screw in there, bonds these guys together. It's not the smoothest moving in the world. I probably could have polished it up a little better. But yeah. Now, do this at your own risk, because you could easily shoot what you don't want to shoot now. But it still has a safety. You still have to have this depressed. I might actually take it apart and put those other springs back in there just to kind of assist this thing coming back out. Other than that, thanks for watching.